Hello, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am Anthony, your presenter. Today we are throwing the focus on the life, career, and institutional impact of Dr. Josiah F. Joekai Jr., one of Liberia's most consequential public servants and a leading voice in governance reform across the African continent. In a country where public institutions have long struggled under the weight of post-conflict dysfunction, patronage, and inefficiency, the question of who leads reform matters deeply. It matters not just in terms of titles or appointments, but in terms of vision, credibility, and the ability to translate ideas into lasting institutional change. Dr. Josiah F. Joekai Jr. is a name that has become inseparable from that very effort. His career, spanning more than 18 years across electoral management, democracy development, security sector reform, education, and civil service modernization, tells the story of a leader whose influence reaches far beyond any single office he has held. Dr. Jokai currently serves as Director General of the Civil Service Agency of Liberia, the institution at the center of government workforce management. In that role, he has led sweeping reforms aimed at embedding meritocracy, accountability, transparency, and productivity into the way government operates. Under his leadership, the Civil Service Agency has not simply administered human resource processes. It has become a vehicle for rethinking how Liberia's public sector functions, how civil servants are recruited, how they perform, and how institutions answer to the people they serve. That shift is significant. For a country still building its way out of decades of conflict and institutional erosion, reforming the civil service is not an administrative exercise. It is a foundational act of national reconstruction. But to understand the full weight of Dr. Jokai's contributions, one must look at the path he walked to arrive at this point. His public service journey began in the Ministry of Education, where he served as administrative assistant to the minister, contributing to policy coordination and sectoral reforms at a time when Liberia's education system was being rebuilt from the ground up. He later transitioned to the National Elections Commission, first as special assistant to the chairman and then as director of civic and voter education. In that role, he led nationwide efforts to educate citizens about their rights and responsibilities in the democratic process, helping to strengthen public trust and participation in elections during a fragile period in Liberia's democratic transition. That work was not cosmetic. It was essential to the legitimacy of the electoral process itself. Dr. Jokai's contributions to Liberia's security architecture are equally noteworthy. As executive director of the Liberian National Commission on Arms, he provided strategic leadership in advancing the country's national security priorities. He played a central role in the development and passage of Liberia's first Firearms and Ammunition Control Act, along with the formulation of administrative regulations for its implementation. He coordinated national efforts to produce Liberia's arms control reports to the United Nations Program of Action and supported the enforcement of international and regional arms control treaties and conventions. This was sensitive, high-stakes work that required not just technical knowledge, but institutional coordination, diplomatic awareness, and a deep understanding of how security governance connects to national stability. In the education sector, Dr. Jokai's impact has been both profound and enduring. Under a UNICEF-supported initiative, he developed and implemented programs aligned with the national policy on girls' education, helping to bridge the gender gap in access to basic education. He worked closely with senior policy advisors to develop the post-war education sector inception report, which informed the landmark Education Reform Act of 2011. He also contributed to the rollout of Liberia's first 10-year education sector plan, covering 2010 to 2020, laying the groundwork for long-term, sustainable development in the education sector. These are not footnotes in policy history. They are structural interventions that shape the trajectory of how Liberia educates its children. Beyond Liberia's borders, Dr. Jokai is widely respected for his expertise in elections management and democracy development across the region. He has provided technical support to electoral commissions in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Côte d'Ivoire. He has served on several election observation missions under the auspices of ECOWAS, the African Union, and the Mono River Union, contributing to the strengthening of democratic institutions and electoral integrity across the continent. He also serves as chairman of the Health and Public Service Network of Africa, a platform advancing collaboration among African countries to strengthen public service institutions and healthcare systems. And as chairman of the board of directors of the President's Young Professionals Program, he plays a direct role in mentoring and preparing the next generation of Liberian leaders for national service. Dr. Jokai's academic credentials reinforce the depth of his professional work. He earned both his bachelor's degree in political science and his master's degree in peace studies and conflict transformation from the University of Liberia. He holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial and Organizational Psychology from Adler University, where he graduated with distinction. In 2025, he was selected to deliver the commencement address at Adler University, a recognition reserved for distinguished scholars and leaders whose work embodies excellence and impact. That moment was not just personal, it was a statement about the caliber of intellectual leadership emerging from Liberia. Dr. Joekai is also a published author and respected researcher. His most recent scholarly work, originally his doctoral dissertation and now published as a book, represents the first major empirical research on gender inequality in Liberian workplaces, offering groundbreaking insights into employee performance and well-being. His other notable publications include Whispers in Africa and The Danger of Celebrity and Power, The Case of Liberia, both of which provide critical reflections on leadership, governance, and societal transformation. He is also the author of the forthcoming book, Self-Cleansing and Renewal for Successful Living, which explores personal transformation, leadership, and purposeful living. Among his professional accolades, Dr. Joekai received the iCare Award from DMT Solutions Global Corporation in recognition of his innovation, collaboration, accountability, resourcefulness, and efficiency during his time in the private sector in the United States, where he also served as Executive Programs Manager at the Charter School Collective under the Leaders for Educational Advocacy and Diversity. What makes Dr. Jokai's story analytically important is not simply the range of offices he has held or the reforms he has led. It is the consistency of purpose that runs through his entire career. From education to elections, from arms control to civil service reform, every chapter of his professional life has been oriented toward the same goal: building institutions that work, that serve people, and that hold up under the pressures of governance in a post-conflict society. Liberia does not lack ambition. What it has often lacked is the kind of disciplined, informed, and principled institutional leadership that turns ambition into functioning systems. Dr. Josiah F. Joekai Jr. represents that kind of leadership, and his record speaks clearly to that fact. Thorough and robust journalism anchored in nationalism for sustainable development is what drives our reporting. We report to inform and analyze to empower. Join us every day for nothing but the truth. For Focus on Liberia, I'm Anthony. Thanks for watching.